Hello and welcome to this Long Island weather video. It's a swamp out there. The humidity is very high. That little circulation you see there over New Jersey is what's left of Chantal. And not seeing too much rain from the remnants of it. There was more over New Jersey, I think. We're going to take a look at the radar right now. And that's pretty much where it's been all day. Not really a whole lot here. Nothing really heavy. It looks like there are some showers offshore. But the biggest thing you notice is the humidity. It's very high out there. And we actually have heat advisories in effect for tomorrow because it's going to get even worse. So right now it is 77 at Farmingdale. The dew point is 73. It wasn't all that hot today. It got up to 83. But again, feels with the humidity, feels even worse than that. 79 at Islip, dew point 75. So again, tropical dew points in the mid-70s again. 75 at West Hampton as well. So, and you can see the heat advisories for Nassau, not for Suffolk. Nassau, New York City. This is for tomorrow, and New Jersey as well. So, if we click on this, you'll see the heat advisory that is posted. We also have an air quality alert in effect for tomorrow as well. So heat advisory goes from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday. Air quality alert from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Tuesday. There's a rip current statement as well. If we go over New Jersey, flood watch is in effect until 10 p.m. this evening. And again, that's because of the remnants of Chantal, or what's left of it, which, again, doesn't look that impressive. But we have to be careful, given what's happened in Texas, as you know. You go to the news here, you'll see, first of all, that they're still dealing with, let's see. It doesn't look like there's anything over there right now, which is good. But unfortunately, it's been a huge disaster in Texas now. The death toll has climbed to 89 now. Despite there were warnings for it. I know there's some people spreading rumors that there were not warnings. No, there were flood warnings from the Weather Service advising people of this flooding. So, people should have been doing a better job paying attention to this, unfortunately. And there's still 41 people missing because so much rain that fell in such a short amount of time. And as I said yesterday, we've had almost 2 feet of rain in one day. And when that happens, that's just like a major, major disaster. And it's just horrible what happened over there. We're praying for those people, praying for everybody affected, because it's a major, major disaster, and this is why people have to pay attention to the weather and pay attention to the Weather Service and the warnings they're issuing, obviously. This is the radar here, and you can see not a whole lot. We had a couple of drops here and there on Long Island, but not a whole lot. You can see the heaviest rain seems to be offshore, off the Jersey shore. Now, it was a fairly cloud-filled day. Excuse me. It was a fairly cloud-filled day, and you can see there are some showers and thunderstorms popping up over well to our west, and that will be more of a threat as we go into tomorrow, I think. But we did have some breaks in the sky, and when we did, the sky was actually quite beautiful. Had these cirrocumulus. These are the clouds from Chantal. Very beautiful tropical-looking clouds. You get some cirrocumulus there. It's what I call a classic tropical-looking sky, with the cirrocumulus and some low scud cumulus. There's another photo here of what the skies look like today. It's really pretty, very pretty though. Like I said, we did have that nice blue sky, so it definitely made for at least a pretty sky when the sun did come out. But the humidity was very high today. So let's take a look and see how hot it got today. For highs, we got up into the mid-80s. Okay, low 84 at Islip. So yeah, generally mid-80s, but in my area, you could see some upper 80s here, and lower 80s as you headed toward the east end and on the South Shore. And in the LaGuardia got up to 88, JFK got up to 86, Central Park got up to 86, or is that it? Maybe only 83. And then as you head into Jersey, 90 in Toms River again. So much hotter there. And like I said, temperatures are still pretty balmy at this hour. We're still seeing 79 at Islip, which is very warm. I was going to say, this is the alley. Not really that much hotter than the alley. I mean, it's not that much hotter in the alley right now than it is at some of these locations. A few degrees hotter, but not that much hotter. Again, the humidity it's going to be a mild night. I don't think the temperatures will drop all that much, considering. And our lows were, look at our lows. Our lows were only in the 70s. So let's take a look at our climate report from iSlip. And high of 84 at a low of 75 puts us 5 degrees above normal for the day. Only 0.10 inches of rain. Now, there was heavier rain in New Jersey. It looked like there were a couple of flash flood warnings that were issued for New Jersey. Let's see, Western Passaic County. So there were some thunderstorms. We'll have to go to the radar rewind because the activity was mainly earlier in the day. We'll rewind the radar. This is a great feature to have because it kind of shows you what's been going on. You can see here are the thunderstorms that were over some of these slow-moving thunderstorms with heavy rain that kind of took their time moving through and resulted in some flash flooding. So if we go back to this, we will take a look at the rainfall amounts today. Do 12 hours, I guess. It should be fair. Long Island barely got anything, but as you head into central Jersey, some of these higher amounts in Passaic County, you could see closing in on an inch of rain in some of these areas. Not much off to the south, however. So that is what we're looking at for now. So let's go take a look at the Storm Prediction Center. And they've upgraded us for tomorrow. So now we are in a... New Jersey's in a slight risk now. It's level 2 risk for a good part of New Jersey. And then outside of that, our area, including lower Hudson Valley, part of Connecticut, Massachusetts, and western, pretty much western Long Island, a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms tomorrow. And that is because we have a cold front approaching that is going to be washing out, but it's still going to be providing some lift in the atmosphere that's going to help produce thunderstorms. So that's our weather alert for tomorrow. And it's also, we also have the heat advisory in effect as well. So let's go to the models now and we'll take a closer. We'll go to the European. We'll just show you what's going on again, so you can visualize that front that's sort of approaching. You can see there's the European and there's that front that comes through, and it kind of washes out because that ridge, you see the Atlantic ridge is still there. So things aren't going to be moving that much with that. Again, we don't really have a jet stream to move anything along all that much. All right, so we have the 0Z HRRR in. Let's go and look at that first. And you'll see the deep tropical moisture is going to stick around tomorrow. And we start off with a west wind, which is not good. That's going to get the temperatures up. It looks like the dew points actually do come down a little bit in the middle of the afternoon. Dew points drop a little bit because of that killer west wind. But that killer west wind means it's going to be hot tomorrow. That's why we have the heat advisory in effect for Nassau County. And I think we'll be getting into the 90s, and I'll be dealing with another day of struggling to stay cool in this. I'll be outside of this place most of the day. But you can see here, and then the dew points you can see as we get into the evening, dew points don't really go anywhere. Wednesday, we're still dealing with these higher dew points. The drier air is to the north, but we're not going to be getting into that because this front, again, is going to wash out over us. We'll go and look at the temperatures. So the heat, obviously, temperatures don't drop much tonight. Probably mid-70s for lows. And tomorrow, I think we're going to see mid-90s across Nassau County. And I think even Islip could get close to 90 degrees, perhaps touch it. And if you're in Jersey, you're going to have mid to upper 90s. It's going to be hot tomorrow. And then as we head into Wednesday, it's still going to be kind of hot. Well into the 80s. Maybe touching 90 inland into Jersey. Now, of course, the thunderstorm threat. Let's go and take a look at that. And look at our Cape levels here as we head into tomorrow. And decent Cape numbers, especially over New Jersey. That's where your best chances are going to be for some severe weather. And then it kind of dies that off as we head into Wednesday. So tomorrow is going to be the active day, I think. Wednesday will be quieter. Let's go look at the radar presentation and see how the HRRR guesses as to what is going to happen tomorrow afternoon. So not looking all that impressive. Here we are in the early evening, seeing a few cells over Connecticut. But as we get into a little later in the evening, like 8, 9 o'clock, that's a pretty decent thunderstorm off the set. It looks like, again, Jersey would wind up getting it, and we get the classic split where we miss out on the storms. We'll see. Maybe we'll get something. Definitely a possibility here. given the air is so humid and hot. And then as you head into Wednesday, generally speaking, there really won't be nearly as much shower and thunderstorm activity. Wednesday will be mostly dry. Now, we'll go and look at the NAM, 0Z NAM, not really enough of that in. We can look at the 18Z NAM and see how the NAM handles this line here that develops. Again, it's got, the NAM's even less. It's got like a little low popping up over us, though, so that could enhance the activity later on at night, perhaps. Still seeing, and then Wednesday, it's still showing very isolated shower and thunderstorm activity. We'll look at sky cover next. And tomorrow there will be more sunshine as well than today. Maybe some fog in the morning, but then it burns off and we're mostly sunny throughout a good part of the day. Good amount of sunshine. And then we'll deal with some clouds, more building in the afternoon. You can see the clouds from that storm system. And then on Wednesday, probably going to be dealing with more in the way of clouds. That's the NAM output. Let's go to the RGEM output. This is the RGEM output. You can see there'll be some clouds around, but there'll be a decent amount of sunshine, and that's why it's going to heat up. And on Wednesday, probably has clouds, a partly sunny day probably for the most part. So it won't be dreary. This is more of a tropical type of pattern where you have sunshine, clouds pop up, and then you have those thunderstorms pop up because, again, we're in this stagnant tropical air mass. Now, there is an air quality alert for ozone tomorrow. That's for ozone, not particles. So I don't think it's going to wind up being all that hazy. In urban areas, probably, but if you're on the shore by the water, I think the air quality will be good. It's just going to be very, very humid. But obviously, the shore is going to be the place to be tomorrow. South Shore, if you want to avoid the worst of the heat. Let's look at the... Oh, one more model I want to look at. We'll back this up for a moment. Let's see what the HDRPS does for tomorrow. Our other model here. And that looks pretty impressive. Yeah, the HDRPS definitely looking a lot more impressive. It's got a nice cell going over us in the evening. So we can hope that the HD, at least for Nassau County, it kind of fizzles when it gets to Suffolk. But that's a nice looking cell right around 10 o'clock there. So, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on things. It could get interesting. We'll have to see what happens. That is what the HDRPS is showing, whether that will happen or not. That's another story. Mind you, we are looking at the 18Z run. All right. I'm going to go to Vent to Sky, visualize the heat tomorrow. And you can see we do have a southerly wind. That's a decent southerly wind. But I still think inland it's going to get hot. But if you're on the South Shore, you'll avoid the worst of it. It'll be a decent breeze from the south throughout the day. And it could be gusts up to perhaps 20 at the beaches. So definitely that's the place to be if you want to avoid the worst of this heat that we're going to be dealing with. But if you're inland, it's going to suck. Right? So you got to be right. Best right on the beach. But the South Shore in general should avoid seeing 90 tomorrow, I think. But the middle of the island, forget it. We're going to go tonight. Oh, actually, I can't believe I made that mistake. We're looking at today. Let's go to tomorrow instead. I knew that didn't look right. So here's tomorrow, and you can see there's a decent breeze on the South Shore, but you notice once you head inland, it curves more to the west. And a nice breeze on the South Shore, but again, as you head inland, curves more to the west. And you can see some of the reflections from some of these thunderstorms that might pop up. All right. Looking at temperatures, again, this is why you're going to see mid-90s here. I knew that wasn't right. I'm like, that's too cool. But if you're on the South Shore, much better. Look at that. Showing like 70s. Meanwhile, if you're inland, you're 95. So it's going to be hell if you're inland. That's for sure. See that heat there. Could be even some upper 90s perhaps. So it's going to be very hot tomorrow. All right. Before these storms develop. Now we're going to go to the thunderstorms. Look at the Cape levels. The Cape levels look good. In fact, a sea breeze front. Maybe even a sea breeze front could trigger a thunderstorm tomorrow. So that will have to be watched. We could see that. We could definitely see that type of thing developing for tomorrow. Even a sea breeze front could. I'm wondering if it's showing clouds along the line there. Not really. But I would not be surprised if there's a sea breeze front somewhere in there that's going to help enhance some of the... some thunderstorm activity perhaps for tomorrow. Then we had later in the night, And there's still Cape around here. 6 o'clock, still Cape, still Cape. It starts to ease a little bit more after 10, but we're going to have to watch this because, again, every model handles this differently. Like I said, it's going to be, the conditions are pretty good for some severe weather tomorrow night, given the air mass. But the problem is, again, we've got that slow-moving front, so if we go to the Weather Prediction Center, we'll take a look at that front right now. Again, so here's that front. We go into day 2, and you can see that front's kind of just stalling over us, washing out the little waves of low pressure. Go to day 3. The front's just pretty much washed out, so it's not actually going to make it through because, we don't have a jet stream to move it through, and it's just going to kind of sit around. So that is what we're going to be dealing with. Stalled front syndrome, unfortunately, for this week. And a severe threat and heat tomorrow. So that wraps up this weather video. We'll see how tomorrow turns out. Hopefully, maybe we'll finally get some thunderstorm activity that I can enjoy. Hopefully, and maybe some nice lightning. Hopefully, maybe. We'll have to see what happens. Anyway, it will be brutal tomorrow. If you're not on the South Shore, it will be brutal. So go to the South Shore, middle of the island, North Shore. You don't want to be there because you're going to be sweating, and it's going to be hot, and it's going to be humid. And that's why we've got the heat advisory in effect. So North Shore, middle of the island, the city, New Jersey, inland, not the place to be if you want to spend any time outside. So have a great night.